Whenever the topic of AI and professional jobs comes up, the conversation almost always lands on one word: replacement. There's this deep-seated fear that a smart AI is just going to come in and take over all this high-skilled work, making experts, well, obsolete. And that fear is probably loudest in a field like law. But what if we're looking at this whole thing completely backward? This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It sets the stage for a totally different story. Not one about destruction, but one about creation, about evolution. History shows us time and time again that technology doesn't just get rid of jobs, it invents entirely new ones, things we couldn't even have dreamed of before. And that is exactly what's happening in the legal world right now. So let's get this straight from the jump. The fear is that AI is going to replace lawyers, but the reality is actually so much more interesting. It's creating brand new connective roles, jobs that are all about being the bridge, the translator between the world of law and the world of technology. Okay, so what exactly are these new jobs? We're not talking about some sci-fi AI lawyer that argues in a digital courtroom. No, this is about something much deeper, far more structural, and honestly, way cooler. I mean, think about it. It's a pattern we've seen over and over. The Industrial Revolution didn't just automate factories, it gave us mechanical engineers. The Software Revolution didn't just give us apps, it created product managers. The Data Revolution, data scientists. Each massive wave of tech creates a new class of specialists, and the AI revolution is following the exact same playbook in the legal space.
To really get a grip on these new roles, we first have to understand the problem they're actually trying to solve. And that means we need to look past the surface of a legal process, something like conveyancing, the transfer of property, and see the incredibly complex hidden system working underneath it all.
Most of us think of buying a property as, a simple transaction. But in reality, it's not even close. It's this super delicate negotiation, a dance between all these different agents, and every single one of them has their own goals, their own fears, their own agenda.
And what a cast of characters it is. You've got the buyer who isn't just buying a house, they're buying confidence, right? Peace of mind. You have the seller who's just trying to protect their price, the lender who is absolutely obsessed with downside risk, the lawyer trying to build a fortress of defensibility, the insurer who has to put a price on the unknown. And then there's the regulator just trying to make sure the whole thing doesn't explode.
And here is the absolute crux of the problem. None of these people have the same goals. Their incentives are completely out of whack. The buyer wants to move fast, the lawyer wants to be super cautious. The seller wants to disclose as little as legally possible, the buyer wants to know every single tiny detail. The entire system is basically this temporary truce just holding all this tension in check long enough to get the deal across the finish line.
So what happens when you take this incredibly complex, high-stakes system and ask a human being to manage it all using just their brain, some checklists, and their memory? Well, it starts to break down, and it breaks down in very, very predictable ways. First, really important documents just get missed. It's not because anyone is lazy or negligent, it's pure cognitive overload. Second, you get those late-stage bombs. Huge risks that only pop up at the last minute, when everybody's already committed and there's no time to think clearly. And third, you get this wild swing between over-lawyering, where every tiny irrelevant issue gets flagged, and under-lawyering, where serious risks get ignored just to push the deal through. These aren't personal failures, they're systemic ones.
And this is where our new roles come in. They aren't just here to make things a little bit faster. No, they are here to re-architect the entire process from the ground up, to make it more resilient, more transparent, and a whole lot smarter.
So, first up, meet the legal engineer. And let's be super clear, this isn't a lawyer who took a weekend coding class. This is a specialist. Their entire job is to translate the very subtle nuances of legal risk and meaning into the cold, hard logic of an AI system. Their work product isn't some dusty legal memo, it's the actual behavior of the system itself.
And their partner in crime is the AI product manager. So if the legal engineer is focused on the legal logic, the AI PM is like the orchestra conductor for the whole system. They're the ones who decide which AI agents do what, when something needs to be escalated to a human, and how to perfectly balance risk with usability. They are the stewards of this whole new intelligent ecosystem. And their relationship is really where the magic happens. The legal engineer is asking, what is legally meaningful here? What does this clause actually mean? And the AI product manager then asks, okay, based on that, how should the system behave? It's this incredible partnership between meaning and action. One defines the what, the other defines the so.
So what happens when you put this all together, this new human-AI ecosystem? Well, it doesn't just tweak the old way of doing things. It fundamentally changes the entire operating model of legal work. It builds a completely new map for how to get the job done. So instead of one lawyer trying to juggle a dozen things at once, the work gets broken down into logical steps. First, AI agents ingest and take inventory of all the documents. Then they verify the information. Can we trust it? Then, and this is the crucial part, they compare everything against everything else, all at the same time, in parallel. That's a task human brains are just terrible at. And only then do they explain why something actually matters and escalate it to the right human to make a call.
And this right here is exactly why you need those specialized human roles. You can't just tech your way out of this problem. Just look at the difference between the UK and US title systems. In the UK, it's deterministic. Truth lives in a state registry, period. In the US, it's probabilistic. Truth is basically whatever an insurer is willing to bet on. An AI system built for one would be an absolute disaster in the other. And managing that kind of complexity, well, that's what these new architects are for.
So it's pretty clear we're not just talking about making things a little more efficient here. We're not just doing the same old thing, but faster. This new approach unlocks a fundamental, massive paradigm shift in what legal due diligence even is.
We're moving away from thinking of due diligence as this single, high-stress, one-time event that happens right before a sale. We're moving towards something entirely new, a state of continuous due diligence, where risk is monitored constantly over the entire life of an asset.
I mean, just look at this timeline. The old way, traditional DD, is just that tiny little blip right at the beginning. But continuous due diligence, powered by these AI agents, becomes this always-on system. It monitors the asset through its entire life, gives you perfect context if there's ever a dispute, and makes the next sale infinitely smarter and smoother.
And the ultimate result? It's the expertise stops living only inside individual people's heads. It gets embedded into the systems themselves. The knowledge becomes durable, scalable. The entire institution gets smarter, not just the people working there. But, and this is so important, this doesn't make humans obsolete. It's the exact opposite. It frees them up for the work that can never be automated. Things like judgment, the wisdom to decide which risk is worth taking, accountability, taking personal responsibility for the outcome, and of course, ethical responsibility, navigating all the complex human trade-offs that no algorithm will ever be able to solve.
So, at the end of the day, this is the new partnership. The AI is an incredible tool for finding the needle in a million haystacks. It can read, compare, and spot risks at a scale no human team could ever dream of. But the decision, the wisdom of what to do about that risk, that remains and will always remain fundamentally human.
So we'll leave you with a question that goes so much deeper than just the fear of AI replacing people. The real, truly profound transformation here is that we're creating legal systems that have a perfect institutional memory. So what does that mean for a profession that has always been built on individual human experience, when the system itself remembers better, more accurately, and more completely than any single person within it? That's the future these new roles are building right now.